It's time for today's travel and cruise industry news. With the latest from travel and cruises around the world, here's your host, Chillie Falls.
Good morning. Welcome to Travel and Cruise Industry News on this Friday, February 24th, coming to you from right off the coast of North Carolina. It's a little bit of a windy day, choppy day out there. It's not the smoothest sailing that I've been on, but not bad. We do have a couple news stories to get to this morning, although there wasn't a great deal in the news world again. But Port Canaveral, now number one. I found that almost shocking. Ryndam finds a new home. MSC's new ship to be named in Copenhagen. And a whole lot more live here at 11 o'clock from Enchantment of the Seas. Today, by the way, folks, is National Fried Fish Day. Now, I can deal with that. And I'm sure there's some fried fish somewhere on this boat. So I'll have some fish and chips later on in the day to celebrate National Fried Fish Day. If you're listening via the podcast, of course, you're always welcome. You can access the podcast via my blog, which is accessadventure.net, or wherever you get your podcasts from. Just search for Travel and Cruise Industry News, and up pops the Fat Travel Guy. Anytime that you're listening, if you'd like to hop over to the video feed, there's always a link in the description so you can do just that. Take a look at any pictures or clips I might be using. All right, to bring you up to date on what's happened here on Enchantment of the Seas, I just posted on my blog a report on Embarkation Day, which went really well. The one thing that was bad about Embarkation Day, after I got all checked in and went through all the nonsense with the wheelchairs to get pushed on board the ship, I found out that I could have gotten the scooter at the curb if I had known ahead of time. Of course, it had already been delivered to my room by the time I discovered it. But it was still the little gal that pushed me on board. Took me straight to the room. I got the scooter and I went on my way. So, but if you're sailing out of Baltimore, you can get the scooters delivered to the curb now. So that's a good thing. All in all, I like the ship. The public restrooms are all accessible. There's a slight issue in my room with the bathroom door. It's not actually wide enough. If I needed to get the scooter into the bathroom, I like to use the shower, which is a roll-in shower. I'm not sure I can get through the door because it doesn't open all the way. It's a little weird. And then, unfortunately, the door to the room is not, push button accessible. It's a little dicey to get in and out of the room, but it's nothing that I haven't done before. Food so far has been excellent. We had a good dinner last night. Of course, I had my usual same thing that I always eat on the first night on a royal ship. I had my prime rib, I had 2 shrimp cocktails, and I had key lime pie. I always enjoy that. And it was as good last night as it is on any Royal Caribbean ship. I did go to the buffet this morning. The one thing I didn't see in the buffet was my eggs Benedict, but I did have some lox and bagels, smoked salmon, actually, on a bagel with some cream cheese. Just like a lox and bagel. So I did that with a little scrambled eggs and had some sauteed mushrooms with it to give it a little different flavor. Nice breakfast. Typical, it was a good, very hot, very well prepared and warm. It wasn't cold like you get on many buffets. Nicely done. Nice buffet. All in all, so far at least, I can find nothing really negative about the ship, except that, like many royal ships, they just do lip service to the solo community. They had a solo meetup last night at 8 o'clock. Just before 8 o'clock, and it was at the R Bar in the Centrum. Just before 8 o'clock, they had some kind of game show going on, and at 8 o'clock, they had one of the groups playing. Royal Caribbean does not give a person to be in charge of that. It's left up to the solo community. But there was no organization, no way of knowing who was solo because there was people there for the entertainment, and it was just a big confused mess. So, and it's sad that the issues that I've had recently with Norwegian, they do that very well on all ships. They give a staff person, like on breakaway 2 weeks ago, it was at 5 o'clock. The early dinner's at 6, so it was an hour before the early dinner. It was in a bar. You could have a drink, sit around and enjoy a drink before dinner. Then some of the group would go to dinner. Some would go to other restaurants together. There was a very active solo community on that cruise. Well done by Norwegian, and the gentleman from the staff that hosted it did a great job with it. I went to guest services this morning to complain about last night's, not to complain, but say, look, there's a lot better ways of doing that. And basically I was told, oh, we just don't care. Yeah, well, that's pretty obvious. So I think Royal Caribbean needs to get a little better at caring about the solo community, since we're one of the fastest growing segments in the cruise world today. So anyway, that's my take on that. All right, tomorrow we're going to be in Charleston, South Carolina. There's a little rain in the forecast, but that's okay. I'll wear a windbreaker. If I get wet, I am going to go ashore. As a matter of fact, one of my dinner companions last night, Tom and Lois, where were they from? They were from New Jersey, I believe. Yeah, I think they were from someplace in New Jersey. But they recommended an oyster bar that they love to go to in Charleston. It's only about 2 blocks from the port, so it easily can be accessed on my scooter. So I probably will do that tomorrow for lunch. And then on Sunday, we're in Port Canaveral. I heard a rumor this morning that there might be a launch on Sunday, which would be cool because I've never seen a launch before. But anyway, I'm meeting Katie for lunch at Rusty's Seafood and Oyster Bar. That'll be at 11:30. So if any of you are in the Port Canaveral area and you want to stop by for lunch, we'll be there at 11:30. Just look for Katie. And if you don't know Katie, look for the big fat guy. That'll be me. So that'll be Sunday. All right. We'll get on with the news portion of today's show after this.
Do you have a bad back, bad hips, bad knees, or any other mobility issues? Think about Scootaround. For scooters, walkers, wheelchairs, even oxygen needs, delivered right to your cabin. Scootaround for all your mobility needs on your upcoming cruise.
And don't forget, folks, Scootaround's not just available for cruises. If you're going someplace into a resort, a land-based vacation, anything like that, check with Scootaround. I mean, you have mobility challenges. Just like when I was in New Orleans, I was there for 3 days before my cruise, and they provided me a scooter. And I went all over New Orleans. And New Orleans is not the easiest place in the world to take a scooter around. But it, took care of me. So if my fat butt can do it, yours can too. So anyway, Scootaround. Great people. All right, we'll be back with some news right after a quick word from one of our network sponsors. And before I get to the first news item today, there are a couple things that I did want to go over with you. One, I am actually sitting in the Schooner Bar. I set up to do the show this morning and was run off from 2 locations because they had all these scheduled. I mean, this is a really busy ship on a sea day. And there wasn't anything scheduled in the Schooner Bar, which is surprising because that's one of the busiest places on any Royal Caribbean ship. It is a main thoroughfare here, so there's a lot of people walking by, but that's okay. But anyway, I'm actually in the Schooner Bar. We do have a couple of our friends that are off on other parts of the world. This is from Tanja and Dwayne down in Tasmania. They went exploring a cave in Tasmania. Didn't know there were caves in Tasmania, but then I've never been to Tasmania. And then our buddy Bethany, she's down in, she was in Uruguay yesterday and had some pretty ugly clouds moving in. And even this nice background shot of her. Look at the clouds that are back over the city. And I can't remember the name of the city where she was. But look at this storm that's moving in from back in that direction. So I don't know if she got into really storming or not, but she's down in Uruguay. She's on her way back now to Buenos Aires to fly back home, unfortunately. All right, the top story this morning has to do with Port Canaveral. And boy, I tell you what, folks, this one kind of surprised me. Port Canaveral is now number 1. The record has been passed, and Port Canaveral is taken over from PortMiami as the world's busiest passenger cruise port. The news comes as the 2022 passenger totals have been released from the Florida Ports Council, and Port Canaveral tops out at over 4 million passengers with a slim margin over Portmiami's 3.9 million passengers. The actual numbers are 4,072,396 multi-day cruise guests from Port Canaveral, and PortMiami had 3,988,094 multi-day guests. Now, multi-day guests, folks, you throw out anybody that's on like a day cruise or one of the casino offerings or any of those types of things. These are numbers only from overnight stays on a ship or a cruise port visit. So, like, we'll be going into Port Canaveral on Sunday. That will count in their totals for 2023. But anyway, they overtook Miami, and they're now number 1. Other totals from Florida Port Everglades saw 1.6 million passengers, Tampa Bay 418,000, Palm Beach 188,000, Jacksonville 90,000. Key West, which is not a home port, but does have port of call visits, saw 198,000 guests in 2022. Congratulations to Port Canaveral. I hope they improve their accessibility issues that I've had with them the last 3 or 4 times that I've sailed from Port Canaveral. That is one of the, to me at least, one of the more difficult ports to sail from, which is sad because they have such wonderful ships there. So I hope they maybe learn some from Miami. Miami's not bad for accessibility. Fort Lauderdale's not either. Of course, I'll be in Fort Lauderdale next week. All right, Holland America. The Ryndam, former Carnival-owned ship in the Holland American line. Greek-owned Celestial Cruises has acquired the former Holland American cruise ship from its previous owner, Sea Jets. The vessel was renamed Celestial Journey and it carries 1,258 passengers. The company will be investing 20 million euros in refurbishing and overhauling the ship. The newly refurbished vessel is expected to offer a considerable increase in premium and balcony staterooms, catering to the high demand for such accommodations on all its voyages. So the Ryndam, which of course that's one of the older ships, of course, but it has a new home. It's going to have some additional life. I, for one, think it's terrific. I think one of the sad fallouts of the whole Cuba situation, when they banned cruise ships from the States going to Cuba, the fallout was that we lost so many very serviceable, good cruise ships industry-wide. Almost every cruise line has lost ships over that. Then, of course, the pandemic hit on top of it, which made it worse. But take the ship I'm on right now. This was built in, 1996, I think, something like that. So it's an older vessel. But boy, there's certainly, you can't tell it. I mean, I, for one, I sell the big ones, I sell the little ones. Absolutely nothing wrong with this ship. And it's got plenty of life left, as does something like the Ryndam. So, good for them, good for Celestial. Never sold Celestial, but that's awesome. All right, the hottest cruise line out there, and again, a lot of people still complain. I happen to like them, and that's MSC. But MSC has decided their newest ship that's coming in, they've been building ships like crazy. But they've chosen Copenhagen, Denmark for the naming ceremony of the MSC Eurybia. The 6,334 guest ship will be the cruise line's second vessel powered by LNG, one of the cleanest marine fuels available. MSC Cruises and Denmark selected Copenhagen for the honor of naming the ship, mainly because of the country's efforts in environmental sustainability. Congratulations to Denmark, Copenhagen, and to MSC for another new ship coming out soon. They've been, they're becoming a major force in the cruise industry worldwide. So, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up the news portion of the day. I told you it was kind of a weak news day. Let's go over and see who's in the chat room, who's fussing at me this morning. Looks like we got a pretty active gang again. Yo, Brooklyn in the house. Eddie's with us. Hi, Eddie. MC is with us. Greetings from parts unknown. Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy. Amy's with us. Says, happy Friday. MC says, yesterday's Cruise Amigo show was great. Yeah, John and I had fun. John and I always have fun. And you act a little silly. Yeah, it was a good show. I agree. And of course, we make fun of Martin, who seems to never show up. But anyway, glad you enjoyed it, MC. Mike's with us. Hi, Mike. Let's see, who else is on down here? Come on, mouse work. MC says, happy Friday to everybody. Everybody's chatting back and forth as always. Martine is with us from up in Canada. I just saw your buddy this morning, Janie. She was on her way. As a matter of fact, my location I was previously was at Bolero's. I was set up there and ready to go. Find out at 11 o'clock, just as I was going to go live, they have, I don't know, some kind of big faulty roll in there. And a bunch of people started piling in. It was going to get noisy, so I didn't want to disturb them doing the show, too. But anyway, Janie came by. She was on her way to do her slot pull this morning. So she's doing her slot pull right now, Martine. Of course, Martine was with us on Breakaway 2 weeks ago. We ate almost every meal together on that entire week, didn't we, Martine? That was great. Eddie Chillie was extra relaxed on the ship, and the show was hilarious. Well, yeah, I've had an adult beverage, and it's always good. Here again, folks, and today, I mean, I can't tell anything from my end, but it looks like I've got another really good live stream. So this is an older ship. Boy, there's been nothing wrong with the live stream on it. So, I mean, it took me 2 minutes to, get my Wi-Fi set up when I got on board. And it's been great. Everything I've done, every place I've been, anytime I've needed to get a Wi-Fi signal, even in I've got a low level cabin. I'm on deck 2. I'm down in the dungeons, which is okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I've even got a good signal in my cabin. So, yeah, it's great. There's Dennis. Hi, Dennis. Glad you're with us as well. And everybody's going back and forth with the hellos again. Eddie says, I keep forgetting you're on the other side of my world. I see. NCL has dedicated cruise directors for solo travels. Yeah, they do. And it works. They do it very well. Boy, Royal Caribbean, I mean, basically, I thought the gal I talked to this morning was rather insulting when I tried to. I was going to offer, I said, hey, I'll be happy to host it for you, Just let us get a location that there's not 17 things going on so we can at least know who's solo and who's not. Cindy says, love the Scooter Bar. Yeah, Scooter Bar is always one of my favorite places. Number one, I always enjoy the piano music. It's one of my favorites on the ship, especially on this one because, I don't know, some of you might have seen this yesterday. Anna, the piano melodies by Anna. I was with her on Serenade of the Seas. And so I rolled out there and filmed her last night. I went up to her. She was in between 2 songs. And I said, I was on a ship with you. She says, yeah. She said, I recognize you too. You're Chillie. And I said, yeah, I am. And then we figured out it was Serenade that she was on when I was on that. And the mainliner tonight, Amy Slater, I think she was on the same ship too. So she's the headliner in the big room tonight. So, but yeah, I like the Schooner Bar too. But everything that I've done so far in this, I didn't stay out as late last night as I would have liked. I got tired and ended up going back to the room and working some and then crashed. But a couple of the groups that I listened to yesterday were really good. The sail away party was quite lively, which I pretty much stay out of those big crowds. But I watched it from above. And it was pretty active and, a typical sail away. So, yeah, it's been a pretty good ship so far. I'll tell you if it's not. Fort Lauderdale is my least favorite Florida port. Yeah, I can understand that. I can't say I don't mind it, but a lot of the ships that I like especially Holland American, or go out of Fort Lauderdale as opposed to Miami. So that seems to be a recurring theme with my schedule. recently and in the future is, Holland America ships, and they sail out of Fort Lauderdale exclusively down there in Southern Florida. Justin is booked on a Celestial cruise. Very good. Celestial has port intensive cruise itineraries. Yeah, and they're a how can I say it without it sounding snotty? A premium cruise line. It's a little more expensive, but then that's not necessarily negative. I mean, you got to look at the value that you get. So, yeah, I'd love to sail on Celestial. I have no idea what they're like for accessibility issues, but I'd love to try one and see. MC, as always, don't forget to give the stream a thumbs up. Always appreciate that, MC. There's Emma G. Hi, everybody. Kenneth's with us as well. Getting on late today. That's all right, Kenneth. You can always catch up. I will see my beautiful Jane in May. Yeah, that's right. You guys are doing another group in May. Janie's got some friends with her on this one. I've met them a couple times now that I've seen them. So I'll have to track her down and see how her slot pull went. I think she's the next solo meetup's at 1 o'clock. So I will probably try to do that and see if can salvage something, since last night was a total waste. I mean, I'd love to see I'd love to see us get a good solo group together and actually start doing some things, and maybe make these people take notice of that, the Royal Caribbean people. So, everybody's speaking back and forth to the newcomers. Don't forget to thumbs up the video. Yeah, that's always good for me. Just keep clicking those thumbs up. That always helps. I wouldn't call them premium. They're older ships. Good Mediterranean food. Yeah, I was not necessarily premium. I was struggling for a good word for it, because they're a little more expensive. But yeah, they're older ships. But they got nice itineraries too. So anyway, I definitely try them. I was over there. All right, guys, that's going to wrap me up for today. Any idea who the headline entertainment is on your cruise? I know that Amy Slater is tonight and one other night. Beyond that, I haven't looked ahead. Last night was a comedian that did the opening show. It was only one up last night at 7 o'clock, and we were a little late getting out of dinner. So by the time I got down there to try to check it out, I couldn't even get into the theater. It was packed. So I didn't get to check out the comedian last night. But then, this is an 8-day cruise, so there's a lot more. Other than that, I don't know. I don't know if there's a show. I just haven't looked ahead that far. So, but I will let you know. Guarantee that. All right, no scheduled shows for Saturday and Sunday. I am going to be in Charleston tomorrow, and then in Port Canaveral at Rusty's for lunch on Sunday. If any of you are in that area, please stop by. We'd love to see you. And we'll have a little lunch with Katie. So come join us. There may be an adult beverage involved too. Can't promise, but Might just be an adult beverage. All right, that's going to wrap me up for the weekend as far as the news show goes. I'm sure I'll be doing some live streams throughout the weekend, maybe some Facebook lives too. But so you'll just have to keep watching, because I never know when I'll get the urge to do it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. Stay safe, stay healthy, think about cruising. Hopefully, one day soon, we'll all get together on the high seas. You guys have a fantastic weekend. If I don't see you between now and then, I'll see everybody back here on Monday. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Later, y'all.
I regularly post videos on all facets of the travel and cruise industry. So if you like to keep up with the latest in cruise ships, ports of call, cruises themselves, Chillie chats, and travel and cruise industry news, just hit the little subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit the bell notification so you'll be notified when a new video is up or we go live. This video was produced by Chillie's Cruises.